I ask you to imagine an athlete, this will probably be the first image that comes to your mind. At least, this is the stereotype created for video gamers, unlike the slim and muscular body characterized by other recognized sports players. The development of technology and the internet have made video games an industry with a great growth in the last years, as they can be played on computers, gaming consoles, or mobile phones. But it has not been recognized as a sport yet, despite the athletic characteristics that its players and tournaments demonstrate. For this, I believe that video games should be considered sports as they meet all the requirements for an activity to be classified as such. Video games, as any other sport, require skills and include an element of competition. Professional gamers need movement coordination to perform their strategies and to sync them with their controllers. Another skill required is stamina, the ability to keep mental and physical effort, especially applied by players in head-to-head video game battles. Certainly, responsiveness is essential due to the changing landscape in esports, in which gamers must make their moves as fast as possible. Some games are excellent to develop teamwork and communication. This is a video of a blind person playing video games. The Global Association of International Sports Federations defines a sport as an activity that includes an element of competition that does not rely on any element of luck, do not poses an undue risk to the health and safety of its athletes or participants, and that is not harmful to any living creature. Whether a game is played individually or in teams, the final goal is to obtain the victory. It can even have cash compensation or other prizes to reward the efforts of the players. But this effort is not only made during the games. Do you have any idea of what it takes to be a gamer? It requires proper nutrition, hydration, and special training to endure the restraint as any other. New devices, social networks, and platforms made possible the introduction of numberless new categorizations, leagues, and genres in esports. Furthermore, video games are also played in great amount by women. According to the Pew Research Center, 48% of women play video games in the US, promoting inclusion for many women who have been discriminated from other sports or who do not feel identified with any of them. In addition, video games have fields and arenas to play, without leaving out the fact that have millions of fans and followers. I would like to show you this video just to give you an idea of how eSports World Championship look like. Event, more than 173,000 people gathered to watch their favorite gamers play, besides the audience at home. Furthermore, you can have a picture of the amount of revenue that this industry has. Only in the United States, its market has a value of more than $60 billion. In here, there are some advantages of esports that need to be highlighted. One of them is the scope they have, as they can be broadcasted through various networks as not only limited by a stadium. Another one is the potential it has to save costs in different areas. Universities can invest less amounts of money in starting up an esports team than a traditional one. They can save infrastructure, equipment, and constant supplies costs. In average, a football stadium construction requires a budget of $400 million. This amount can be saved by the government to use it for education or health. I asked some friends to send me a video about their opinion about this topic. Most of them agree with me, but others have their own counter-arguments. These two videos summarize this opposite side.
I think that video games are a sport because they are an acquired skill that you form throughout intensive training in a period of time. Also, they come in very big tournaments that move millions of people into enjoying how someone performs that skill in a very standardized environment, which can be measured quantitatively.
Video games should be considered as a sport because they don't involve any physical exercise.
In fact, this last argument is commonly used to reject my point of view. But if we consider it, a lot of sports should not be considered as well. Take the case of equestrian or motorsport, in which the riders are not the ones doing the work, just applying the skills. Besides, who says video games do not require high-intensity movements? They demand finger or wrist movements in a fast motion, and nowadays there are dance, yoga, or exercise video games that involve the whole body. I think that the definition of sports should go through a meticulous revision. Although some countries have recognized gamers as athletes, for video games to be taken seriously at a sporting level, it needs to be considered as one. They have their rules, divisions, followers, and highly skilled players. It is important to recognize this activity as a sport because it can have further implications and benefits for people and the society. Despite others, video games are an industry that still has a long way to go, as it gives us the possibility to play anywhere at any time and with people from all around the world. So, what's keeping video games from being considered sports? To conclude, I would like to ask you some questions. Do you think that an activity requires a high-intense physical activity to be considered a sport? Or which standards should be included? Do you think that video games are a healthy alternative of entertainment rather than other games of chance in casinos or gambling or watching TV?